What are you all standing there for? Everyone kneel. Welcome senior brother Pi. Upon hearing this, everyone knelt before him. Get out of the way, just a group of nobodies, down on the ground. Don't you know to kneel when you see senior brother Pei? Have you forgotten your place? The disciple looked at him in terror. Qian Yuyan pointed at the crowd. Most of the disciples in the servant quarters have gathered here today, and Zhang Yuan follows closely behind, noticing his younger brother staring intently at him. Kicked him straight away. What are you looking at? Bending gracefully with an incomparable charm. How sweet this servant supervisor is. Arrogant in front of Chu Yuan, but fawning in front of the outer disciple, Pei Yuanfeng, as Qian Yuyan desperately curries favor with Pei Shixong. A man dressed in luxurious clothing walked toward this places, shouting for everyone to get out of the way. His name is Pei Yuanfeng. He's an outer disciple of the Xuanjian sect. The previously arrogant Qian Yuyan immediately. They simply don't have that kind of capability to destroy 1,000 acres of medicinal fields without being noticed. Think about it carefully. There are too many suspicious and strange things about this matter at this moment, but there's been no result. At first, I thought it was Zhang Yuan and Feng Wei who stayed behind, intentionally framing me, but thinking about it now, it doesn't seem likely. When I woke up, I found myself in a room. I was then taken away by the law enforcement hall on the charge of destroying the 1,000-acre medicinal field cultivated by the Xuanjian sect. After that, I was expelled from the Xuanjian sect. I've been investigating this matter all along. The whole incident was far too suspicious. I remember that I was seeking a breakthrough because I failed to activate my destined sword. I accidentally wandered into the sacred mountain of the Xuanjian sect. Inside, I mistakenly consumed a type of toxic spirit herb. After that, I lost consciousness. Your cultivation would have far surpassed mine by now. Hearing this, Chu Yuan fell into deep thought. 3 years ago, I was expelled from the Xuanjian sword sect and entered the awakening realm. Right. Luo Sanqian scratched his head and smiled, compared to senior brother Chu. I'm still far behind. Back then, it was under senior brother's guidance that I achieved my current cultivation. If senior brother hadn't been framed and expelled from the Xuanjian sword sect because of that incident. Chu Yuan patted him on the shoulder with satisfaction. Little Sanqian, long time no see. You've grown a lot taller, and your strength has improved quite a bit too. You've already broken through the body refining stage. Now they've stirred up a hornet's nest. The group hurriedly begged Luo Sanqian for forgiveness on the ground. However, Luo Sanqian walked straight toward Chu Yuan. Senior brother Chu, long time no see. Sanqian knew you would come back. He is favored by the sect. We can't afford to provoke him. Suddenly, a few people seemed to have thought of something. Before Chu Yuan was expelled from Xuanjian sect, he seemed to have the closest relationship with senior brother Luo. They will punish you severely. Several people immediately backed down. Senior brother Luo Sanqian, why is he here? Senior brother Luo Sanqian is one of the top 3 outer disciples. How dare you humiliate senior brother Chu Yuan like this? This is Luo Sanqian. He is an outer disciple. Luo Sanqian looked at them with a cold smile. I will report this to the sect elders, ordering Chu Yuan to clean up the entire scene before nightfall. However, at this moment, a figure emerged from the crowd. What are you doing? You have quite the audacity. I understand you. Upon hearing this, a few of them were immediately furious. They pointed at Chu Yuan and shouted angrily. He spoke in a commanding tone. I was once renowned in the Xuanjian sect, and I was also an outer disciple. But you all have only average talent. Perhaps they will never become outer disciples in their lifetime. So you want to regain your dignity from me? So what if I was once an outer disciple? Aren't you all under my control now? Hearing all this, Chu Yuan let out a cold laugh. I understand how you all feel at this moment. Chu Yuan used to be an outer disciple, you know. He's quite capable. Yeah, that's what Steward Kian meant too. He wanted us to give this guy a bit of a hard time, so he won't be disobedient in the future. Just as the group surrounded Chu Yuan with mocking sneers, a man sighed in lament. Chu Yuan is sweeping the entire northern section of the Kuanjian sect's trial grounds all by himself. Aren't we being a bit too harsh? Another junior disciple gave a playful smile, and felt a bit sluggish. He asked Chu Yuan to help him sweep North District 1. The group all sneered coldly at Chu Yuan. This man was a young genius, but now he's being humiliated by a bunch of servants. Another little guy threw a broom at Chu Yuan. I've been eating too much lately. Can't exercise. Chu Yuan, help me sweep Area 3 North. One of the little punks even said he slept too much. As he spoke, a broom was tossed to Chu Yuan. Not long after, at the Shuanjian sect square, a little guy threw a broom at Chu Yuan. Chu Yuan, my back hurts a bit. Help me sweep Area 2 North, will you? Don't forget your identity. You are just a servant disciple now. Go clean up the trial grounds of the Shuanjian sect right away. The people from the Spirit Sword sect are coming to spar with us in a few days. Clean it up immediately. The man in front of him was named Qian Yuyan, the steward of the servants' quarters. He pointed at Chu Yuan and cursed. Look at you, still trying to show off in front of my supervisor. Do you still think you're the talented outer disciple that everyone knew 5 years ago? A burst of angry shouting was heard. Where is the servant disciple Chu Yuan? Come out here at once. Chu Yuan opened the door and asked what was the matter. Each sword seems to have some extraordinary secrets behind it. If I get the chance to uncover these secrets in the future, I might be able to learn something about the sword tomb system. At this moment, the door was suddenly pounded on. Although the sword soul has not fully awakened yet, it is still quite astonishing. I've been at the Kuanjian sect all these years, and I've never heard of anyone's sword containing a sword spirit. It seems that the blood-sucking demon sword and the Shuan iron heavy sword are far more complex than I thought. Next, I just need to learn some sword techniques. The power of the sword chi will also increase. However, it seems that these two swords given to me by the system are not as simple as they appear. The blood-sucking demon sword can actively absorb the blood of the king of earthly meridians at crucial moments. Moreover, it has also activated the sword soul within. I could break through at any moment. Once I break through to the 8th level of body refinement, I may obtain the qualification to participate in the inner sect map assessment through Bai Ji Fang. This would allow me to complete the mission released by the system. Moreover, my 5-element sword chi has become more mature. Chu Yuan is sitting cross-legged alone. This time, during the trial in the abyss of the demon realm, although I encountered many dangers, I gained a lot from this experience. First, I am now just a hair's breadth away from reaching the 8th level of body refinement. She doesn't like to talk to people. She is absolutely the female immortal of our Shuanjian sect. A few people are self-hypnotizing. They insist that they must have seen it wrong. At this time, in the servants' quarters. But in terms of cultivation, among the disciples of Shuanjian sect, no one can surpass her. Many geniuses from the inner sect pursue senior Sister Anne. Sister Anne doesn't pay any attention. Sister Anne is a very aloof person. Senior Sister Anne is such a genius. How could she possibly be with a waist like Chu Yuan? The entire sect knows. Senior Sister Anne is young, even younger than most of the disciples in the sect. With broad experience, the wise can tell at a glance that this is an Luoyan, the flower of Shuanjian sect. Sister Anne's companions looked strange. How could it be an Luoyan? We must have seen it wrong. Immediately, the senior brothers around them gathered. Oh, isn't that our Shuanyuan sect's match made in heaven? Chu Yuan. Who is the beautiful woman with him? She is so pretty. She looks somewhat familiar. Hearing this, Luo Ying clenched her fists. She actually pointed at Chu Yuan and spoke out in anger. This young man stepped forward, trying to flirt, but the girl pointed at him and scolded him angrily. He wanted to thank her for this, This time, we have shared life and death together, unwavering till death, never to part again. Ha! There's no more danger here. I'll take you this far." Saying this, Luo Ying turned and left. She reminded him to come to the back mountain in 3 days to study the spiritual talismans. Chu Yuan directly stepped forward to keep her. Soon, the inner sect elders of the Xuanjian sect will send experts to exterminate them. It's not appropriate for us to stay here any longer. Outside the Qinanjian sect gate, not long from now, Luo Ying explains to Chu Yuan that her father is not a member of the Xuanjian sect. Therefore, it's inconvenient for him to appear there. This is what cultivation is. I aspire to be like this. I saw Liu Tuanfeng wave his hand. It means we can go back now. Many powerful beasts have escaped from the abyss of the demon realm. It's a pity that the spirit sword immortal suddenly disappeared later. It is said to be related to the abyss of the demon domain. Chu Yuan immediately felt a longing. The spirit sword immortal, a truly invincible sword cultivator who can slash through the heavens and split the earth. This is what a sword cultivator is, and imprisoned countless demon clans in this place. From then on, this place became the abyss of the demon realm. Later, the abyss of the demon realm gradually became a prison for both demons and the most wicked of human cultivators. After the death of the spirit sword immortal, he was honored by the world as the spirit emperor. In those years, the wild demon clans revolted, and countless demon beasts affected humanity. The city was ravaged. The spirit sword slashed the earth here with a single strike, severing the path of millions of demon clans entering. Ryota Miyagi reveals that 100 years ago, there was a peerless sword cultivator known as the Spirit Sword Immortal. This person had unmatched talent and exceptional grace. This abyss was once split open by a man with a sword. Chu Yuan is shocked. "Master, you're not kidding me, are you? This is the Great Canyon, who can split with a single sword. This abyss is so magnificent. It's shocking. This vast canyon is something I've never seen before. It's my first time." But Rukawa looks strangely at me. "Do you know?" Rukawa turned his head and gave him a slight smile. "You're awake?" Chu Yuan asked in confusion. Rukawa revealed, "This is the abyss of the demon realm, where countless wild demons are imprisoned." Chu Yuan gasped in awe. "I wonder how father is doing." Half an hour later, Chu Yuan slowly opened his eyes, seeing the father and daughter in front of him. He called out, "Master." As expected, it's not to be underestimated. The power of that self-destruction, it surpassed the peak of the awakening realm. But with me standing in front of Chu Yuan, he should be fine, right? Chu Yuan and the other person were blasted backward. The ground was shaken and dented for a long time. Luo Ying looked at the unconscious Chu Yuan and let out a long sigh. The beasts of the abyssal demon realm. At the same time, Chu Yuan was shocked to feel the 8th level of body refinement becoming unstable. "Even if you gave me another 15 minutes, I could break through." With a loud bang, the deer landed. A defensive barrier protected the two of them. This time, I was careless. I didn't expect the beasts of the demon abyss to be so frenzied. They actually self-destructed directly. Chu Yuan and Luo Ying exchanged a glance. Is actually going to self-destruct. At this moment, Luo Ying's figure instantly appeared behind Chu Yuan. A capture sigil materialized out of thin air. He was thrown towards Chu Yuan. The Goblin King landed heavily. He immediately let out an angry roar. "No master, no end. Goblins forever. Humans, die with me." The form of the magic sword also expanded by several times. "Ding, congratulations. Host, you have activated the blood-sucking magic sword. The sword spirit has been asleep for too long, and cannot fully awaken for now. At that moment, and carry out the principle of to kill you while you are ill to the end." Chu Yuan directly plunged a knife into his chest. "What delicious blood! Bring more, bring more." The magic sword emitted a knotted laugh. Luo Ying's mouth dropped open as she exclaimed, "Cheating." At that moment, Chu Yuan stepped forward. To take advantage of your weakness. This feels like cheating. Luo Ying's mouth instantly formed an O shape. This man, facing a beast several realms stronger than himself, used Lao Lia's demon blade to continuously absorb its blood. At this moment, the Emperor Whale King's aura is continuously weakening. Then I will be invincible. At this moment, Luo Ying looks surprised. The demon blade in Chu Yuan's hand is constantly absorbing the blood of the king of the Emperor Whale. The aura of the Emperor Whale King is gradually weakening. Is this even allowed? The aura of the Goblin King is growing weaker. Unfortunately, the blood-sucking demon sword only reacts to the blood of the Goblin King. That's why it can absorb so much of his blood. But once I learn the dragon binding axe later, I'll use the blood-sucking demon sword to drain blood and grind down my enemies. Where did he get so many powerful and unique swords? As Chu Yuan's blade fell smoothly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the spirit testing skill. A smile played at the corner of Chu Yuan's mouth. It really works. Looking at Chu Yuan before him, Luo Ying couldn't help but sigh. It seems that the sword in this guy's hand is quite extraordinary. First, there was a heavy sword made of mysterious iron that could freeze a person. Now, he's pulled out such a bizarre demon sword. The blood-sucking effect of the blood-sucking demon sword has clearly increased several times. At this rate, it won't be long before the King of Goblins' blood is drained dry. At that moment, Luo Ying also cast the dragon binding talisman. It's too early to admit defeat now. Today, I'm going to exhaust this big guy to death. Sword Maidens, bloodthirsty serpent shadow technique. Chu Yuan directly swung his blade at the Emperor Gold King. He unleashed the bloodthirsty serpent shadow technique. As for me, I don't need to worry about myself. I have my own way to escape. It just comes with a bit of a price. Upon hearing this, Chu Yuan immediately drew the bloodthirsty demon sword. But your cultivation level is too far from the Goblin King's. Even the aftershocks from the Goblin King's attacks could seriously injure you. You will definitely die. Forget it. Let me trap him. You should hurry and escape. Spitting out a mouthful of blood in midair, he was sent flying backwards. It's still not working. Although I can temporarily trap the Goblin King, the damage from your 5-element sword chi is also quite strong. Despicable swordsman. Following a masterless path, slaughter all sword cultivators in the world. With a bang, Chu Yuan narrowly dodged the attack. At this moment, the bloodthirst sword seemed to have a consciousness of its own, actively absorbing the blood of the Whale King. Just as the bloodthirst sword was trembling with a hum, the Whale King struck Chu Yuan's back directly with its club. Insignificant humans is immediately absorbed by the blood-sucking demon sword. When Chu Yuan landed, he was shocked to find that he wasn't using the Sword Maiden. Bloodthirsty Serpent Shadow Strike. The lifesteal effect of the bloodthirst sword activated automatically. Now's the time. Attack. Chu Yuan stomps the ground directly. The 5-element sword chi is unleashed instantly. One slash falls on the Goblin King. That green blood. Chu Yuan nodded. A dragon confining talisman appeared out of thin air. Luo Ying shot it towards the Goblin King ahead. The Goblin King is completely wrapped in chains. I've already bound the Goblin King with the dragon binding talisman. He said he had found a way to use it continuously. At the same time, Luo Ying solemnly stated that his spiritual energy was exhausted. But it's hard to deal fatal damage to him. However, I can use a talisman to bind him. Then take the chance to attack with 5 elements sword chi. Chu Yuan showed a worried expression. What should we do now? This guy looks much stronger than the water-avoiding crocodile whale. Luo Ying asked if he could use the 5-element sword now. Chu Yuan nodded, even though this guy is a bit shameless. But after all, he came back to save me. He has good intentions too. At this moment, the Emperor Whale King also saw the two roaring, ready to turn them into meat skewers. Looking at the charging Emperor Whale King, Luo Ying let out a sigh. All right, I was impulsive earlier, I'm somewhat impressed you came back, but in my heart, there's still a sigh. Chu Yuan looked very annoyed. Luo Ying, I went through countless dangers, risking my life to save you. Is this how you treat me? Upon hearing this, fortunately, I arrived in time. At this moment, Luo Ying's face turned red. She slapped Chu Yuan on the face. Pouting, she said, "Who asked you to save me? Can't a rogue save someone in a different way?" At this moment, the Emperor Whale King let out a loud roar. It was searching everywhere for Luo Ying's traces. As soon as Chu Yuan landed, Luo Ying had been in such danger just now. Why didn't you know to hide? Luo Ying can't help but exclaim. The girl was just about to activate the first lock, when she was directly picked up by the male lead. Luo Ying stared blankly at Chu Yuan, who was holding her. She let out a sudden gasp. The daughter can only unravel the clues. Although this happens, the next second, Chu Yuan's figure suddenly appears. The Emperor Whale King misses the strike. Chu Yuan is seen holding Luo Ying as he floats up. I didn't expect a powerful talking beast to show up in the end. Its cultivation must be beyond the absolute realm. In the next moment, the massive fist of the King of the Deep Whales came crashing down on Luo Ying. Luo Ying formed seals with his hands. "Father, the situation is critical. Foolish human. How dare you harm the great Demon King's people? You must pay with your life." Luo Ying's face suddenly changed dramatically. "Goblin King, but now my spiritual energy is almost depleted. If more goblins appear..." I'm afraid, however, just then, the ground started shaking. A goblin monster several times larger than the others emerged from the earth. At this rate, he could break through to the 8th level of body refining today. At this moment, the forest floor around Luo Ying was already piled high with dense goblin corpses. Finally, they were all slain. I can't remember how many goblins I've killed. As Chu Yuan struck again, another demon wolf fell. The system issued a prompt. "Ding, congratulations, host, you have triggered the spirit trial skill," Chu Yuan exclaimed. That was satisfying. He felt his cultivation rapidly increasing. Chu Yuan suddenly woke up. He turned and rushed towards Luo Ying. At this moment, Chu Yuan struck a demon beast. Its mouth continuously chewed on the spirit-transforming grass. An endless stream of spiritual energy was transformed into sword energy. Chu Yuan took a step forward and struck with his sword. The spiritual energy turned into a sword. The killing blow was interrupted with a snap. It was directly severed by Chu Yuan. As he spoke, Chu Yuan took out a spirit transformation herb and swallowed it in one gulp. Immediately, a surge of powerful spiritual energy began to transform on the surface of his body. At that moment, a giant infant dove down from above. "I currently have the blood-sucking demon sword. It has a compatible skill. The spiritual energy can be continuously replenished. If I convert the spiritual energy into sword energy using the spirit-transforming herb, I can continuously use the 5-element sword energy. Most of the beasts couldn't be killed at all. Even if they could be killed, it will take a lot of time to fight my way back to Luo Ying's side. By that time, he must be in danger." The master said that this spirit-transforming herb can complete the conversion between spiritual energy and sword energy. Only then did Chu Yuan let out a sigh of relief. The sword energy that had just recovered was now completely depleted again, but there were too many beasts in the forest now. If he couldn't use the 5-element sword Qing, Chu Yuan's expression changed dramatically. A giant demonic beast was staring intently at Chu Yuan. The 5-element sword is ready to kill. Chu Yuan swung his sword down decisively. The beast was instantly split in two. He slammed his fist hard into the ground. "No matter what, I'll risk everything to save you." The bloodthirsty demon sword instantly appeared in his hand. Chu Yuan dashed forward. However, in an instant under the moonlit tree, the only teleportation was given to me. "What will you do?" The girl was surrounded by a horde of goblin beasts. She directly teleported Kaiji and Chu Yuan over 10 kilometers away. Chu Yuan's expression became grim. I was instantly transported over 10 miles away, thinking of Luo Ying's situation. Chu Yuan couldn't help but. His expression changed dramatically. He slammed his fist hard into the ground. Chu Yuan's figure transformed into a streak of light and flew towards the distance. When Chu Yuan landed, he couldn't help but sigh. This teleportation charm is too extraordinary. Don't look back. As he spoke, a teleportation talisman appeared out of thin air. Chu Yuan jumped up, wanting to stop it. The teleportation talisman was directly struck onto him by Luo Ying. It was just a moment, and most of them are at the awakening stage. Even one of them could kill 10 of you. Father actually wants me to protect your dog life. I will use the only teleportation to help you escape. Remember to roll far away after landing. Suddenly, a massive barrier sent them all flying. Luo Ying, you're actually a talisman master too. But Luo Ying shouted, "Stop talking, my talisman won't last long. There are too many goblins." A certain direction in the forest began to shake. One by one, the great whales received the summons and rushed directly toward this place. Luo Ying immediately protected Chu Yuan behind her. A defense talisman was cast, but whenever it does, it often comes in groups. Thousands of them acted together. Even if the sword cultivator's cultivation level is 1 or 2 great realms higher than theirs, they would undoubtedly die if they encountered them as soon as the words were spoken. What kind of monster is this? So fast. And it looks so unusual. This is a low-level monster that only appears deep in the abyss of the demon realm. It rarely appears. He slashed toward a spot in the forest. Boom! A beast was instantly cut in half. If I call out in a moment of luck. Chu Yuan looks even more astonished. Hurry, I feel something coming. Chu Yuan muttered, I want to hurry too. Why don't you come help me? The next second, Luo Ying swung a blade. At this moment, a dark shadow flashed across the heights. However, Chu Yuan paid no attention to this. He rushed straight toward the pile of spirit-transforming grass. Luo Ying, gazing at the calm forest, also felt a sense of foreboding. There are so many spirit-shifting herbs here, yet no one is harvesting them. I'm afraid this only means one thing. We've accidentally stumbled into the depths of the demon realm. The depths here are incredibly dangerous now. This is simply a fortune. There are so many spirit-shifting herbs. It should be enough for me to quickly learn the master's capture technique. I should be able to become a talisman master. But Luo Ying told him not to get too excited too soon. This is the spirit-turning herb my father mentioned. I didn't expect you'd find it so easily. Chu Yuan pointed ahead. There's actually a whole field of spirit-turning herbs over there. Even the well-informed Luo Ying was left speechless. Chu Yuan was slightly disoriented. Luo Ying, what kind of herb is this? It looks pretty unique. Luo Ying also looked confused. You're in luck. Luo Ying then strode over with her long legs to stand beside Chu Yuan. Well deserved. The spiritual symbol from my father can only last for half an hour. Now that the spiritual energy is depleted, you got cocky. However, when Chu Yuan looked up at the herb in front of him, Chu Yuan then leapt up, calling Luo Ying to follow him, but the divine talisman on his back suddenly vanished. Chu Yuan fell directly to the ground. A scream of despair echoed. Facing Chu Yuan's doubts, Luo Ying blushed deeply. Chu Yuan couldn't help but sigh. Women, as expected, are useless, except for their beauty. I even forgot about my weak sense of direction. As she spoke, a hint of sarcasm crept onto Luo Ying's cheeks. Just look at this girl, she's beautiful, but she's a total disaster when it comes to directions. She has a sense of direction as weak as that of a certain green-haired character from One Piece. Come on, fairy lore. Don't tell me you have no sense of direction. You're a bit directionally challenged, huh? Luo Ying directly scolded him to lead the way. Damn, I was just so angry with this guy earlier. Luo Ying immediately snapped at him to shut up, then pointed in a direction. Chu Yuan's mouth twitched instantly. Are you serious? That's the direction we just came from. We have been running for half an hour. At this rate, we should have long exited the abyss of the demonic realm and entered the Xuanyuan sword sect. Why can't we even see the shadow of the Xuanyuan sword sect now? Are you leading us the wrong way? Luo Ying, wait for me. Soon, the two figures transformed into a flash of light. When they landed, Chu Yuan sighed. Master Luo Ying's speed with the movement talisman is faster than birds. Chu Yuan's mouth twitched instantly. He asked what he should call her instead. Senior sister is not allowed. Junior sister is also not allowed. Then I can only call you Luo Ying. Let's go back to... However, Luo Ying drew a blade directly. The sword aura instantly shattered the ground beside Chu Yuan. If I hear that title again, I'll chop you down. There might be danger on the road. Make sure to protect him. With that, Ryota immediately left. The wild girl's master has left. I always feel that it's a bit unsafe here. I will withdraw immediately. Luo Ying, make sure to escort Chu Yuan back to the east gate. The abyss of the demon realm. Many powerful demon beasts have come out. His cultivation is too low. I've waited here for so long. I finally waited for the abyss of the demon realm to open. This time, I have to go take a look. Don't worry, your father isn't foolish. If there is danger, you two should use the shadow traveling technique to go back. Remember, you must return quickly. Do not delay for even a moment. Luo Ying, however, anxiously tried to stop him. Liu Quan Feng waved his hand again. Chu Yuan felt a cold sweat on his forehead. Why is my master so unreliable? Baiji is the same. Ji Hui Tu. Liu Fengchuan waved his hand. I will look for it deep in the abyss of the demon realm this time. It would be best if we can find it. If not, then let's go steal it from the Xuanjian sect. That old guy should have some stock. As Liu Fengchuan whispered, it won't delay your indirect cultivation. Upon hearing this, Chu Yuan immediately stated he would go find the spirit transition hall. The spirit transition grass is useless for ordinary sword cultivators. Very few people sell this kind of herb. Although Chu Yuan possesses the 5-element sword chi, the sword chi within him is too sparse. Next, he needs to find a treasure called Zhuangling grass to convert the spiritual energy and sword intent within. Practicing this way can save a lot of time. Haha, you guy, you've got quite a thick skin. The nearby Luing also let out a cold snort. As expected, still as shameless as before. Liu Fengchuan then pointed out seriously. With a thud, he knelt on one knee. Disciple Chu Yuan greets master. This young man, in order to become a talisman master, immediately knelt on one knee. Liu Fengchuan looked at the young man before him. Therefore, every talisman master holds an extremely noble status. They are usually supported by great forces behind them. Rukawa smiled at him. He wiggled his fingers. Wanna learn? Chu Yuan was startled. Talisman masters are the rarest profession in the suspended sword continent. Becoming a talisman master requires exceptional talent and perseverance. The talismans made by talisman masters hold immense power. In battle, a single powerful talisman can even turn the tide of the entire situation. He tossed 2 teleportation talismans to Chu Yuan and Luo Ying. You two use them to return to the suspended sword seat. Luo Ying caught one with a single finger. Chu Yuan, on the other hand, looked astonished. Senior, are you really the legendary talisman master? Luo Ying immediately recognized it as the divine bird Qingluan. They have lived in the abyss of the demon realm for hundreds of years. Now they are fleeing in a panic with their descendants. It seems there has truly been a major upheaval in the abyss of the demon realm. At this moment, Ryoma's expression was serious. Why are you looking at him? Chu Yuan felt so awkward he could dig out a 3-bedroom apartment. However, at this moment, Rukawa suddenly exclaimed, "What's that?" "That's a huge bird." Liu Quanfeng grabbed Chu Yuan's shoulder, clicking his tongue. 5 years ago. How old were you back then? Such a peculiar hobby. Besides, Luoying was just an undeveloped little girl at that time. 5 years ago, when he first joined the Xuanjian sect, he often spoke rudely to me, and even once spied on me while I was changing. As she spoke, a blush crept across Luo Ying's face. Upon hearing this, "How can you strike so heavily?" After Chu Yuan landed, Luo Ying pouted and said, "Father Mies, this guy is too shameless, and you're still protecting him. It's been a few years. She's actually advanced to such a level." With a sharp shout from Liu Quanfeng, a gentle spiritual energy enveloped Chu Yuan. "Nonsense, the difference in your cultivation levels is too great." Luo Ying was furious. Purple spiritual energy wrapped around her palm. She directly blasted Chu Yuan away. Chu Yuan, who was sent flying, was momentarily stunned. How could this wild girl's cultivation be so astonishing? "Curse, it's really you. It's been years. Who would have thought you'd turn out so beautiful? You're not that wild girl anymore. This is unbelievable. She's clearly a demon." The girl, however, pouted playfully. "You were supposed to gouge out Chu Yuan's eyes." Chu Yuan suddenly remembered. Pointing at Luo Ying, he excitedly shouted, "I remember now. You're that wild girl. We should go." Chu Yuan stepped forward directly, looking around left and right. Who is this girl? Why does she seem a bit familiar? So he came to take a look, but didn't expect it was all from you alone. Nearby, Luoying coldly said, "Fathers, now that we've finished watching, the power of that 5 elements fusion just now was truly immense. If it weren't for this person reminding me at the critical moment, I might have already perished under the evil axe." Rukawa Kaedo waved his hand dismissively, indicating that he had merely sensed the mix of various sword energies in the forest. Liu Quanfeng took a step forward. "Not bad, you even broke through after the battle. It seems that fight has brought you great gains." Chu Yuan cupped his hands and thanked him. He also felt a sense of lingering fear in his heart. An aura twice as strong as before spread out in all directions. This man possesses not just 5 types of sword energy. He can even fuse weapons. As Liu Quanfeng secretly transmitted his voice to help Chu Yuan slay the demon, Chu Yuan finally broke through to the 7th layer of body refinement. At that moment, 2 figures slowly walked out. All 5 elements are present. I didn't expect the Xuanjian sect to produce someone with such exceptional talent. Suddenly, a loud explosion came from Chu Yuan's body. It directly severed the golden purple waist. Instantly, countless blood splattered in all directions. Meanwhile, Chu Yuan was gasping and weeping. His spiritual energy was surging violently. Is this a sign of a breakthrough? The 5 elements of sword energy united. Its power erupted simultaneously. Chu Yuan immediately focused. He merged the sword energies of 5 attributes together. A sword energy, several times more powerful than before, shot out and lunged at him with its big mouth. Chu Yuan inwardly exclaimed that it was bad. However, at that moment, he recalled a deep male voice in his mind. Sword energy roamed his chest and abdomen. "Once my sword energy is depleted, this golden crocodile will counterattack it. I will undoubtedly die." Just as Chu Yuan was born, the golden crocodile opened its fangs wide. "My cultivation is too weak. These sword energies can only cause superficial wounds to the azure water golden crocodile. They cannot kill it, and I have almost no sword energy left inside me. I'm afraid I only have one last strike, based on the previous moves." The damage from the metal sword energy to the blue water purple gold crocodile is the greatest. It can destroy its armor to the greatest extent, causing damage, but it's still not enough. Next, a metal element sword energy pierced its side. Finally, an earth element sword energy finished it off. Chu Yuan was gasping heavily. Congratulations to the host for triggering the soldier spirit skill. At this moment, Chu Yuan was calculating inwardly. It's just that I don't have much sword energy in my body. I need to finish this quickly. Chu Yuan stomped the ground. A water element sword energy struck its back. Then a wood element sword energy hit its forehead. The power of this sword energy indeed cannot compare to an ordinary spirit. For now, I can only forcibly use the sword energy. If I had learned the corresponding sword energy, the power of the sword strike might be several times stronger. Chu Yuan's sword aura transforms into a whirlwind, facing the hard 7-armor army of the purple alligator. In an instant, it burst forth with a spray of blood. Chu Yuan narrowed his eyes. The azure water purple gold alligator is injured. Tears stream down as they shoot towards Chu Yuan. Chu Yuan can't help but mutter, "This guy can actually use magic." On the bloodthirsty demon's sword, a fire attribute sword aura rapidly coils around. This is impossible to fight. Immediately, Chu Yuan prepared to forcefully use the 5 elements sword Qi. As Chu Yuan jumps up, facing the hungry, bitter onslaught, he was directly blasted away. Zul powerful. No wonder it's a monster that's on a higher level than me, using ordinary spiritual power to wield the blood-sucking demon sword, is simply unable to cut through the armor of the azure water purple gold crocodile. Chu Yuan gritted his teeth. He decided to fight head-on. He saw the crimson crocodile tail sweeping toward him. Chu Yuan immediately unleashed his sword energy for a direct clash. However, in the next second, as Chu Yuan continued to dodge, the ground was being blasted into large holes. This blue water golden crocodile is so fast. Its strength is incredible. It's so powerful, there's no way to escape. No matter how dangerous the abyss of the demon domain is, it's impossible for an awakened beast to just appear out of nowhere. Moreover, this azure water purple gold crocodile is a water creature. Now it has unexpectedly come onto land. Could it be that something has changed in the abyss of the demon domain? What's it like to have a giant crocodile appear while cultivating? When Chu Yuan saw an enlightened realm, Bihui golden crocodile, he was completely stunned. Because he himself had only just started training, Chu Yuan suddenly realized that something was off. What the hell is that? God, are you messing with me? It's actually a Bihui golden crocodile in the enlightened realm. A beast from the demon beast hierarchy. Chu Yuan's mouth dropped open in an O shape. These animals were desperately trying to escape to the outskirts of the abyss. What on earth is happening? However, in the next moment, a ferocious giant crocodile lunged at Chu Yuan. The ground began to tremble. Only this will push my cultivation to improve faster. Just at that moment, a horde of demonic beasts charged toward this place. Chu Yuan looked completely bewildered. The sound came from the abyss of the demon realm. This is where the disciples of the Xuanjian sect frequently train. Most of the demonic beasts here have been cleared out. Training here improves too slowly. Now, I have no choice but to go deeper into the abyss of the demon realm. I must face stronger demonic beasts. Is actually quite shameless. As they spoke, the two of them quickly left. However, Chu Yuan remained unaware of all this. At this moment, Chu Yuan was slowly pondering in his heart. In the outer region of the abyss of the demon domain, the monsters are ultimately too sparse. Do you know him? Father, it's better if you don't have any curiosity about that person. There's movement over at the abyss of the demon domain. Let's hurry over. That guy isn't as simple as you think. It caused quite a stir at the time. However, he later stagnated in his cultivation. I heard that he was eventually expelled from the Xuanjian sect. I don't know when he came back. Liu Quanfeng exclaimed in surprise. His talent should be quite good. Upon hearing this, the girl let out a cold snort. Not only have I seen him, he is the genius disciple who was specially recruited by the Xuanjian sect 5 years ago. Wait for the two to land. Rukawa quickly asked Rio. You've been training at the sword hanging sect these days. Have you seen this little guy? I just saw his skills. The divine sword severs gods and destroys lines, cutting through the sky. Even those outside the relationship fear them 3 parts. Unfortunately, some events occurred later, although the sword path on the suspended sword continent remains prosperous. It can never match its past glory. The man is named Ling Quanfeng. The girl named An Luoying beside him was also surprised. She reminisced about the past glory. The swordsman is invincible. Sword cultivators emerge one after another. That little guy Luoying is quite interesting. The sword in his hand can produce water attribute sword energy. It emits mysterious weapon sword energy. Such a divine sword is quite rare in the sword hanging continent. The man trembled in fear. He hurriedly claimed that there was nothing left. Chu Yuan smirked slightly. And since you all had quite a bit on you, I won't kill you this time. Get lost. All of this was witnessed by a shadow in the tree. Chu Yuan simply waved his hand. Relax, I won't kill you. Moments later, Chu Yuan had scavenged a lot of elixirs and coins from them. The few of them were stripped down to just their underwear. Seeing Chu Yuan looking over again, this made him more and more excited for the legendary sword that was about to appear. As Chu Yuan walked toward them, the three little guys knelt down, begging for mercy. In sync, they all blamed the unconscious Zhang Yuan. Facing their flattery, Chu Yuan raised an eyebrow, staring at the ice pot before him. Unexpectedly, the 1% chance of triggering the dark ice effect actually packed quite a punch. He was almost frozen solid like an ice statue. Is that peerless genius returning? This man triggered the dark iron effect. With one strike he froze Zhang Yuan, a body refining stage 7 in ice. The two young lads looked at Chu Yuan in horror. Could that peerless genius have returned? Is frozen? The two immediately guessed something. This is the sword aura. It's an icy sword aura with water attribute. So, Chu Yuan has awakened his water attribute sword aura. Chu Yuan shouted in wild joy, "Good timing. Take my sword too." As Chu Yuan swung his sword down, a wave of frost instantly froze him. Zhang Yuan's subordinate's mouth twitched. "What? You can rest in peace now." Saying this, the sword wrapped in purple energy slashed straight toward Chu Yuan. However, at that moment, the system issued a notification. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the frozen iron sword's ice effect. Ill cut him down. As he said this, countless purple sword energies gathered toward Zhang Yuan. Chu Yuan, you're seeking death. Let this waste see my life sword essence. My life sword essence carries a trace of metallic berserk attribute. The few of them were suddenly in a panic. Meanwhile, Chu Yuan calmly made eye contact with them. Suddenly, Zhang Yuan shouted, "Stop the noise. My life sword has already been activated. Let me unleash my life sword energy." However, after a while, a few of them were stunned, with several people taking turns to deplete him. It seemed that Chu Yuan's true energy was showing no signs of running out. What on earth is going on? Both of them are giving up. Zhang Yuan stepped forward directly. Cut the crap. Hold on. He doesn't have much true energy left in him to exhaust himself, sending all these small ones flying. At this moment, Zhang Yuan and his subordinates all looked pale. "Boss, this guy's sword is really loud. It's making my hands numb." "Yeah, I can barely hold the sword." Chu Yuan flicked his longsword and sent them flying. With a twist of his body, he slashed out. A terrifying force surged forward. At this moment, the little gaggers launched another fierce attack. Chu Yuan shouted sharply, "Come again!" With a loud clang, the heavy black iron sword clashed with their longswords, sparking a shower of sparks. Chu Yuan was jolted back repeatedly. He secretly complained in his heart. Compared to the blood-sucking demon sword, the Shuan iron heavy sword was too heavy, but it was extremely suitable for training the body. In his mind, he had already regarded these little gaggers as tools for body training. He orders his men to seize the weapon. In his view, as long as he takes Chu Yuan's sword, Chu Yuan would be nothing but a helpless weakling. Countless attacks fall upon the heavy black iron sword. Automatically switched to the heavy black iron sword. Chu Yuan couldn't help but silently praise how much better this system space is compared to those storage bags and items. A single thought or movement can automatically switch weapons. At this moment, Zhang Yuan steps forward first. It turns out it was you, sneaky little things again. I advise you to be smart about this. Get out of here and don't disturb my rest. With a wave of my hand, the blood-sucking demon soared. But strangely, he fought with a few small thugs. They all took a step forward, surrounding Chu Yuan. Chu Yuan looked at Zhang Yuan in front of him. With a chuckle, I wondered who it was at the time. And cripple your own meridians. If you can't cultivate in this life, I'll let you leave. A hint of arrogance appeared on Zhang Yuan's face. This young man leveled up by defeating monsters. Several figures suddenly rushed out, surrounding Chu Yuan. Chu Yuan, you broke my azure light sword yesterday. Today, I'm here for revenge. If you know what's good for you, hand over that heavy sword. I should be able to break through to body refining level 7. Next, as long as I break through to body refining level 8 within the remaining 11 days, I might be able to follow what Sister Bai said. I've earned the chance to take the inner disciple exam. However, just at this moment, how can it be wasted on Chu Yuan? And at this moment, Chu Yuan could clearly feel that his cultivation, stuck at body refining level 6 for years, was starting to shake. If I keep training here today, Chu Yuan's strength is no match for mine. But yesterday, he still managed to break the sect's Qingwang sword. This means that heavy sword is definitely a treasure. Its grade is far above the Qingwang sword. Such a sword, based on his 6th level of body refinement, his true energy should be nearly depleted. Listen carefully. If you see him use that heavy sword later, you must seize it first. It's a pity that this spirit doesn't increase my innate sword energy. Otherwise, killing these wolf monsters with sword energy would be much quicker. Not far from here, Zhang Yuan and the others are staring intently at Chu Yuan. This fool Chu Yuan has been lying here for half an hour now. Ding, congratulations, host, for triggering the Spirit Warrior skill. Chu Yuan was overjoyed. This Spirit Warrior effect is simply incredible. Once triggered, it can instantly replenish the consumed true energy within him. Here, I don't have to worry about depleting my true energy at all. Now, he had no more concerns. Catch up and take him down. Meanwhile, at the outer edge of the abyss of the demon realm, as Chu Yuan continuously swung the blood-sucking demon sword, large demons were directly slain by him. Zhang Yuan smirked slightly. 6 layers of body refinement, and he was still punished to be a servant disciple. It seems this Chu Yuan is still as useless as ever. After saying that, he waved his subordinates to follow him with big strides. At the time, it's said that he destroyed the entire event at that time, which enraged the Grand Elder. Poor servant disciple. Hearing these words, yesterday he attended the garden establishment ceremony. It seems there was an accident. The Grand Elder has sealed off the news. I only found out after bribing one of the disciples who participated in the trial. What happened at the Jian Yuan ceremony yesterday? What level is Chu Yuan at now? His subordinate quickly reported. Chu Yuan is indeed at the 6th level of body refinement. His cultivation hasn't advanced in 5 years. Because yesterday, Chu Yuan had cut off his Qingwang sword. He's still very upset about it now. The driver wants revenge. Suddenly, Zhang Yuan seems to have thought of something. Right, did you get the details? This kid is simply looking for trouble. Let's hurry over there. There are countless wild great demons locked up over there. Are we still going to follow? Zhang Yuan directly called for them to follow. It's definitely a monster-slaying weapon. Looking at the departing Chu Yuan, several little gaggers popped their heads up. Brother Zhang Yuan, it seems that Chu Yuan went to the abyss of the demon realm. And now, less than 20 hours remain. This skill is simply incredible. Not only can it absorb others' true energy, but it can also lock it for oneself. To atone for angering the Grand Elder of the outer sect, Chu Yuan ignored them completely, because the system once said, the probability of the blood-sucking demon sword awakening within 24 hours would increase from 1/10,000 to 10%. At this moment on the streets of Shuanjian sect, Chu Yuan was walking in the distance. Those who knew him around turned to look, because the information was completely blocked by Yuan Shu. These ordinary disciples believed that Chu Yuan was demoted to the service department. "Not bad," he said. A charming smile appeared on his old face. How despicable this outer sect elder is. In order to flatter the inner sect elders, he actually sent a genius to do menial work. He will definitely pass this inner sect assessment. As for Chu Yuan, he is just a handyman now. He is not worthy to be Feng Lei's opponent. When it comes to his magic knife, I will inform the head of the sect. Upon hearing this, Yuan Shu laughed heartily. "Elder Feng, you are too modest. Feng Lei is outstanding among my outer disciples. Is to avoid affecting his suggestion for cultivation, I ask Brother Yuan to keep this information confidential. Please take care of him. As for his promotion to inner sect elder, Chu Yuan, you're not even qualified to be my opponent now." At this moment, Feng Yunshan cupped his hands toward Yuan Shu. "Feng Lei is the only heir of my Feng family. He's been arrogant and conceited since childhood. This incident of losing an arm, I know what to do now. You should know that among all the outer disciples, less than 5 have a life-bound sword with an elemental attribute. And now, I possess the wood attribute. With this, he'll surely pass the inner disciple examination. Kill him openly and honorably in the arena. Only then can you achieve the invincible sword shadow you've always desired." Feng Lei clenched the tomb token tightly in his hand, unable to contain a surge of joy inside. "Thank you, second uncle. Taking this wood origin pill will convert all the energy of your life sword into wood attribute. This way, the power of your Qingyun formula cultivation will increase several times. You can seek revenge after you return, but remember, don't take matters into your own hands in private. It's all about allowing you to pass the Inner Mongolia assessment and become a disciple of the Xuanjian sect." Feng Wei quickly took it over. Meanwhile, Feng Yunshan was beside him, earnestly teaching. "Your life sword contains a weak wood attribute, and the sword contains the attributes of the 5 elements. Then this kid's talent is truly astonishing." As he spoke, he took out a jade green pill from his chest and handed it to Feng Mei. "This is a Muiyuan pill. Your father used the full strength of the entire clan to trade for it in exchange for your accomplishments. This talent is truly astonishing." Soon after, Feng Yunshan asked if he could sense the 5 elemental attributes within his sword. Yuan Shu shook his head. At this moment, Feng Yunshan also let out a long sigh of relief. "That's good, if he has such understanding. There are countless types of swords and halberds. It doesn't matter where he learned his sword and halberd techniques. What matters most is that my sister comprehended sword techniques immediately, after unlocking her innate sword essence. I was also investigating Chu Yuan that day. The sword technique this boy used was indeed extraordinarily bizarre. I fear it might not have come from our Xuanyan sect. The sword path flourishes in the sword continent. The man in front of us is named Feng Yunshan. He is the grand elder of the inner sect. He is also Feng Li's second uncle." Yuan Shu, standing nearby, softly comforted Elder Feng. "You can't entirely blame Feng Lei for this. Everything was chopped to pieces, and you still have the face to shout here. If I had known this, I wouldn't have covered for you. You'd learn what shame really means. If it weren't for using witchcraft to distract me, he couldn't have defeated me. If I encounter him again, he'll cut him into 8 pieces." But his second uncle slapped him directly, calling him a bastard. That means advancing to the 8th level of body refining in 12 days. At this moment, within the Xuanjian sect, Feng Wei, who had an arm severed, roared loudly. "Second uncle, I can't swallow this anger. Chu Yuan's cultivation is obviously inferior, but it might be possible for you. This man was assigned a task by the system to enter the inner sect. However, as a servant disciple, he has no qualifications at all." After a moment of contemplation, Bai Fixu thought of a solution for him. requires you to at least have the 8th level of body refinement, and you are currently only at the 6th level. If you want to give it a try, you need to improve to body refinement level 8 within at least 12 days. This is absolutely impossible for an ordinary person. Otherwise, I'm sure many people won't give me another 3 years to let me grow. After a moment of contemplation, Baifixu suggested that perhaps there is a way to try. However, this method currently, the system allows only 3 months if I want to get stronger, no longer suffering from bullying and humiliation like before. This time I must become an inner disciple. And there is only this one opportunity. And my status as a servant disciple doesn't qualify me to participate in the assessment. If I can't become an inner disciple this time, I'll have to wait another 3 years. I'm not willing to accept that. I'm truly thinking in my heart, I haven't even entered the inner sect. You want me to turn you into an inner disciple? Immediately Chu Yuan asked if there was a quick way to enter the inner sect. As far as I know, the inner sect disciple assessment, held every 3 years, will start in 2 months. Chu Yuan immediately expressed that he wanted to become an inner disciple. Upon hearing this, Baifixu shrugged her shoulders. You think highly of me. I'm just an outer elder right now. Suddenly, he paused in his speech. All right, sister boy, I want to ask you for a favor. Baifixu told him not to be polite. Just say it. So this matter can only stay between us. For your safety, don't ever reveal it. Chu Yuan nodded, fully agreeing. Baifixu immediately gave him a smack on the head. Your talent is unparalleled right now. Not to mention that you have quite a few enemies in the Xuanjian sect now. Even if you didn't have enemies, ordinary sword cultivators would still be envious. You truly stand out. Haha, I Baifixu am definitely a genius at recognizing talent. Then Chu Yuan, looking puzzled, asked, Sister Bai, my 5 elements sword chi is a great thing, right? Why were you so anxious to interrupt me just now? At this moment he seemed very excited, because previously he had expected Chu Yuan to only possess a single attribute of sword energy. Who would have thought you would possess all 5 elements? 6. No wonder I, Baifixu, chose you as my disciple. You're a peerless, heavenly general. However, Chu Yuan stated that he was admitted to the sword hanging sect 5 years ago. He was originally an unparalleled genius. Baifixu smiled, and the sword stone is said to be forged from a meteorite. It seems I'll have to study it further if I get the chance. At this moment, Baifixu stepped forward, casually throwing an arm around Chu Yuan's shoulder. Chu Yuan, how are you so calm? However, sword cultivators with all 5 elements are even rarer, a once-in-a-thousand-years occurrence. They are known as peerless prodigies. Chu Yuan stared blankly at his own hands. He didn't expect that the benefit of shattering the sword stone would be generating 5 elements. Sword chi can only produce ordinary sword energy without any attributes. Some fortunate or particularly talented sword cultivators can generate special sword energy with a certain attribute. Those favored by the sword god will have 2 or 3 attributes. These sword cultivators are already the talented individuals sought after by major sword sects. There are a total of 5 attributes for special sword energy. They are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The 5 elements cycle endlessly, each overcoming the other. Ordinary sword cultivators activate their sword source of destiny. Baifixu looked serious. You're right. After activating the sword source of my destiny, the sword energy of my destiny is generated within me. The sword energy of my destiny is divided into ordinary sword energy and special sword energy. I only know that after unlocking the life sword chi will be generated inside the body. Special life sword chi carries attributes. 5 elements sword chi. I don't think I've ever heard of it. When Chu Yuan's 5-colored sword chi was unleashed, Baifixu reacted very intensely. He directly shattered the sword chi. Chu Yuan felt puzzled. What does 5 elements sword chi mean? 5 colors of sword energy intertwined around the sword body. This is the five elements sword chi. Bai Fixu's pupils suddenly constricted. Others only have at most one color of sword chi, yet this man possesses all five colors. Bai Fixu wanted to take a look at his sword energy. Chu Yuan readily agreed. His palm slightly rotated, and with a loud shout, the blood-sucking demon sword appeared out of thin air. However, Chu Yuan said he didn't know either. At that time, he only felt that he had absorbed a large amount of life sword energy. Also, all his injuries from yesterday healed overnight. It might be related to the absorption of those innate sword energies. Upon hearing this, it's just that they're afraid. Forget it, let's not talk about that. Let me ask you, what happened at the Sword Fate ceremony yesterday? Why did the sword stone explode? This is unprecedented. Bai Fixu smiled gently. Chu Yuan, are you teasing me? In Xuanjian sect, does Bai Fixu even have a reputation to speak of? Even that old man in the main sect probably always wants to kick me out, to avoid me ruining Xuanjian sect's good name. Hearing this, Chu Yuan laughed heartily. Sister Bai, after all, I'm just a servant disciple now. I'm afraid if others hear, it might affect your reputation. As Chu Yuan was about to greet him, Bai Fixu waved his hand dismissively. Stop pretending. Since you're back at the hanging sword sect, aren't you going to change how you address me? What should you call me? Chu Yuan smiled, indicating that he's full of energy now. Overnight, all his injuries have fully healed. Unprecedented smoothness. Bai Fixu walked over with large strides. Chu Yuan was afraid of delaying your recovery yesterday, so he sent you to the hospital and left in a hurry. How are you feeling today? Sword techniques are divided into 3 levels: heaven, earth, and human. Each level is further divided into 3 grades: upper, middle, and lower. Previously, the Qingyun technique used by Feng Lei was of the upper grade in the human level. As for the blood serpent shadow technique, the sword technique does not know its grade. Just as Chu Yuan was pondering, now I have successfully activated my life sword essence. I've also learned the bloodthirsty snake shadow technique, because this sword technique was forcibly implanted in my mind by the system. Thus, there is still a long way to go before this sword can be fully refined. In this sword-suspended continent, become an inner disciple within 3 months. How is that possible? System, are you trying to kill me? In the servant quarters, 2 days later, Chu Yuan practiced sword techniques continuously. The system began to prompt. Ding Jianzhong issued a new task to go to Xuanjian sect. Become an inner disciple within 3 months. Successful completion of the task rewards the 5 elements sword. Chu Yuan was instantly taken aback. Since it can absorb true energy, when has the Xuanjian sect ever seen such a sword technique? Now, Feng Lei has lost an arm. This matter must be reported to the Inner Gate Elder, Feng Lei's uncle, for further handling. At this moment, he may be spared from death, but he cannot escape punishment. Chu Yuan shall be sent to the labor division to serve. However, a storm was raging in his heart. The sword technique this boy used just now was extraordinary. Although I am somewhat curious about the sword spirit, that sword spirit Chu Yuan just used. Awakening the destined sword spirit is undoubtedly important. However, the trial is of great significance. This is no small matter. Great Elder, you have nothing left to say, do you? Yuan Shu awkwardly replied. The clear drought Xuanji continent. Only those who have awakened their destined sword spirit may rest. It affects the flow of your true energy. Just now, Chu Yuan clearly used a sword halberd. Only sword energy could produce such an effect. Since he can use the sword halberd, it proves he's already activated his life-bound sword halberd. You have to take revenge for me. All of this falls into Bai Fixu's ears. Bai Fixu scoffs, calling him an idiot. You still can't see it. Even magic can't achieve this. Ghastly. Bai Fixu looks very excited. Good job, Chu Yuan. At this moment, Yuan Shu tremblingly approaches Elder Feng Lei. Chu Yuan used demonic magic to sever my arm. Broken by this boy, rival lost an arm. He finally removed the green hat he had worn for 3 years. Accompanied by the judge's screams, the whole venue echoed. Sun Yuing and the other sycophantic brothers exchanged glances. His complexion turned pale at a visible speed. My true energy is continuously leaking out. What happened? The next second, Feng Lei let out a terrible scream. One of his arms was actually... He finally waited for himself. Today, I will return all the humiliation to you. Saying this, Chu Wan charged at Feng Lei with his sword. Countless streams of true energy from Feng Lei's body were continuously absorbed into the bloodthirsty demon sword. Even if he survives, hell be crippled. Meanwhile, Yuan Shu was very pleased with Feng Lei's performance. On the side, Bai Fixu was nervously sweating profusely. Ding! The bloodthirsty demon sword's hidden skill was triggered. Shilin Chuan was overjoyed. A surprise is merely a brief opportunity for a struggling survival. As he spoke, Feng Lei unleashed his sword energy. Flying Cloud Slash, a terrifying purple sword aura wildly condensed. Oh my god, senior brother Feng is enraged. I bet Chu Yuan will be cut in half. They are shocked by the injury he sustained. However, Feng Lei still lets out a cold snort. To be able to hurt me is indeed a bit surprising, but in the face of overwhelming strength, one blood, Chu Yuan felt a slight bitterness at the corner of his mouth. This blood-sucking magic sword truly lives up to its name. The unknown crowd off stage is dumbfounded. They are all surprised that Feng Lei was hit. Desperate fighting style. As Feng Lei stabilized his stance, he was also filled with dread. What just happened? Why did I feel like the blood in my body was drained in an instant? However, Chu Yuan directly slashed his left arm with a knife. Feng Lei was shocked. In an instant, a stream of Feng Lei's blood was absorbed by the blood-sucking magic sword. Feng Lei rapidly retreated. This madman actually traded injury for injury, with blood spilling all over the ground. Feng Lei directly stabbed Chu Yuan in the chest. A direct hit. Feng Lei let out a cold laugh. Are you too afraid to dodge? It turns out you're useless. Today, I, Feng Lei, will sever all ties. Unleashing my invincible sword intent, Chu Yuan's pupils suddenly constricted. So it was you who framed me 3 years ago. You drove me out of the suspended sword sect. It would have been me, Feng Lei, who was specially recruited into the Xuanjian sect. For those 2 years, I wanted to ruin you every moment. Later, even after taking your woman, I drove you out of the Xuanjian sect. It didn't let me vent my anger completely. This really piques my interest. As he spoke, Feng Lei slashed towards Chu Yuan with his sword. 5 years ago, you were specially recruited into the Xuanjian sect. You took the spot that belonged to me. If it weren't for you... However, Chu Yuan, stabilizing his stance, let out a loud roar. Come and hear this. Feng Lei chuckled. I didn't expect you to be able to stand up again after taking my sword. Such powerful sword energy. Is this the power of using sword energy? One strike to repel the enemy. Feng Lei couldn't help but sneer. Easily defeated. Chu Yuan, who has been stuck at the 6th stage of body refining for years, and has no insights, has no chance of winning. Accompanied by a thunderous boom, Feng Lei's Qingyun technique directly blasted a large hole in the platform. Sword energy rippled through the waves, and Chu Yuan was sent flying backward. I didn't expect Brother Feng to have mastered the sword and halberd Qingyun technique so well. He truly lives up to being a descendant of an inner sect elder. They all speculated whether Chu Yuan would be defeated in one blow. Compared to Feng Lei's 7th layer of body refinement, Feng Lei let out a cold snort. He launched a Tangyun strike at Chu Yuan. A wave of flattery suddenly arose from the audience. Brother Feng is actually using a dragon soldier weapon. This is a weapon only inner courtyard disciples can use. Then don't blame me for making you spend the rest of your life in bed. However, Chu Yuan smirked coldly. You are so confident. If the result is different from what you expect, Where will your dignity be? Let's see if he still dares to act tough." As she spoke, a purple longsword appeared in Feng Wei's hand. "Chu Yuan, if you had kept a low profile, you could have escaped this disaster. If you seek death and accept my challenge, do you ever stop with the bragging?" Sun Yuing smiled and told Feng Lei to sever his hand and foot tendons. Let him be like his crippled father, spending the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Feng Lei snickered, letting out a small laugh. "Chu Yuan, you worthless fool. You're killing me with laughter. Will you die if you stop bragging?" To prove himself, he actually wants to challenge the Fortress of Body Refinement 7th level. Just as the beautiful elder was about to stop him, Chu Yuan immediately drew the blood-sucking demon sword from the system. After a moment of shock, "Today, I'll show you. That genius still shines bright. Come on, Chu Yuan." That blood-stained longsword is directly aimed at the boy. After activating the sword ape, hearing this, Chu Yuan smiled at him. "Yes, because I was a genius back then." As he spoke, a blood-red longsword appeared in his hand. "Elder Bai believes in me. I was exceptionally admitted into the Xuanjian sect, with weak abilities. Why did you take me under your wing back then? No need to say, because at that time you were a genius. The brightest kind is to learn sword skills and imbue the sword with attributes. Yet you don't know any sword skills at all right now." However, Chu Yuan gave him a slight smile. "Elder Bai, 5 years ago," Bai Fixu's face showed anxiety, not to mention the mishap you encountered during the trial. "Even if you've now unlocked the sword origin, the improvement to your strength is still limited. You must know that the primary function of activating the life sword essence is like forcing him to his death. However, I disagree." Before it was said, Chu Yuan, standing by, forced himself to hold on. Upon hearing this, Sword Yuan Saint, if you cannot prove that you activated your life sword Yuan during the debate just now, then I can only take you to the abyss of the demon realm. Bai Fixu clenched her fist. "You old bastard. Forcing Chu Yuan to compete now? You are definitely not his match. The Grand Elder Yuan Shu is a formidable opponent. This matter concerning Chu Yuan is not trivial. Now that the trial stone has exploded, it's impossible to tell from the stone itself whether you passed or not. Chu Yuan, don't be fooled. Feng Lei is targeting you. He himself is at the 7th level of body refining. His strength is considerably higher than yours. And you are injured right now. Do you think pretending will help you escape from Chu Yuan? I ask you, do you dare to compete with me? If you win, the Grand Elder will naturally believe you have activated your life sword." Bai Fixu stepped forward to block. Chu Yuan had a smirk on his face. "Which of your eyes saw me fail to activate my destiny sword?" "Hehe, Chu Yuan, it's all ready now. You're still pretending. I assume, even if you sold your entire Chu family, you still wouldn't be able to pay it off. I advise you to just find a rope and hang yourself now. Otherwise, it will implicate your Chu family." Upon hearing this, "Isn't trash just garbage?" Sun Yuing also walked over from the side. "Chu Yuan, you activated your life-bound sword essence and failed for the 3rd time. It also destroyed the event's history. I'll handle it myself." Feng Lei raised an eyebrow, mockingly looking at Chu Yuan. "Oh, Chu Yuan, you're still alive, huh? Did I say something wrong?" At this moment, Bai Fixu was about to teach Feng Lei a lesson. Chu Yuan stepped in front of him. He clasped his hands and bowed. "Elder Bai, you've worked hard. This is my own business." His fellow disciples disdain him. The Grand Elder of the Outer Court even believed the slander of petty people, and wanted to cast him into the demon realm. Yuan, but they had no ideas. "I, Chu Yuan, have already started the construction of the garden." "Wait a minute, Feng Lei. Who did you call trash?" The dying Chu Yuan actually stood up here. He's considered worthless in the eyes of others. Even his childhood sweetheart looks down on him. Right in front of the Grand Elder, He says he's going to strike. Just then, his wrist was grabbed. A cold voice came from behind. Elder Bai, it seems you took my words lightly. I will kill you right now. A long sword suddenly appeared in his hand. Feng Lei was startled and shivered. I can't believe he's really a madman. Otherwise, with so many geniuses in the sword-hanging continent, I have never heard of anyone being able to make the trial room explode. Instead, someone as useless as Chu Yuan is the only one. Bai Fixu coldly glanced at him. Feng Lei, you think too highly of him. This useless person could try 10,000 times and still not pass the establishment ceremony. I think it's because he is too trashy. Only then can the trial room explode. Although there was an explosion at the time of the incident, but Chu Yuan has theoretically passed the Sword Abyss Sacred Classics trial. He is my disciple, Bai Fixu. You don't have the right to take him away. Feng Lei shrugged. Elder Bai, you violated the rules of the Sword Essence, Holy Code. I'll deal with you later. Now immediately send Chu Yuan back to the abyss of the demon realm for detention. Feng Wei bows and accepts the order. Wait, I disagree. I'll skin you alive. At that moment, the great elder Yuan Shu shouted angrily, Enough, Bai Fixu. Do you still respect me, the grand elder of the outer sect? Chu Yuan went in. How could he possibly come out alive? Feng Lei, don't think that just because your uncle is an elder of the inner sect, I won't dare deal with you. If you keep going after Chu Yuan, sect's abyss of the demon realm, to prevent him from escaping. After speaking, Feng Lei showed a sinister smile. Bai Fixu snapped, Nonsense. The abyss of the demon realm is a place for exiling wild demons of extreme cruelty. An explosion occurring should be the responsibility of Chu Yuan. I suggest notifying the Chu family immediately. Have them compensate our Xuanjian sect for all losses, and throw Chu Yuan into the Xuanjian. There must be an extraordinary reason for this. However, Feng Lei is still inciting from the side. In his view, no matter the reason, for something as precious as the event stone, coldly saying this matter is not Chu Yuan's fault. The sword stone is incredibly sturdy. It's beyond human capability to damage. Even ordinary cultivators would struggle to leave a mark on it. It will also deplete all of his true energy. It was Elder Bai who indulged Chu Yuan to activate the sword source again. During the trial destruction, it caused the sword stone to explode. Chu Yuan is now unconscious. Bai Fixu stepped forward directly. An elderly man with white hair and beard slowly walked over. His name is Yuan Shu. He is the Grand Elder of the outer sect of Xuan Yuan Sword Sect. Not far away, Feng Lei hurriedly approached. He reported to the Grand Elder, just as Chu Yuan was feeling pleased. A loud shout came from afar. Who dares to be so bold? Dare to disrupt the events of my Xuan Yuan Sword Sect? At that moment, time limit, 24 hours. Ding, due to the host's outstanding completion of the task. Extra rewards. The insight is the Blood Serpent Shadow Technique. Additional reward, 2 cubic meters of personal space. After activating Warrior Spirit, the host can absorb the opponent's chi when striking, replenishing their own. At the same time, to help the host fully understand Warrior Spirit's strategy, the activation chance increases to 110. The sword is slender and nimble, making it a deadly close-range weapon. Combining it with the sword skill Bloodthirsty Serpent Shadow Technique can trigger a blood-draining effect. There is also a 1/10,000 chance to activate the hidden skill Warrior Spirit. Congratulations, host, on completing the task. Successfully unlocked the Destiny Sword element. Reward, Blood-Sucking Demon Sword. The so-called Blood-Sucking Demon Sword is the signature weapon of the Golden Snakebone King from 50,000 years ago, unlocking one's life sword source, being able to blow up the trial stone. At that moment, in an inconspicuous corner, Chu Yuan recalled the voice of the system in his mind. Could it be that I've absorbed all the sword energy from the entire sword trial stone? The others in the arena also noticed at this time. that the trial stone exploded, and they realized that something serious was amiss. They had never heard of, but in the next second, Chu Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood. It sprayed directly onto the disaster area below. Such domineering sword energy, so incredibly dense. After one strike, he coughed up blood and flew backward. Just as everyone was laughing at him, the event suddenly erupted. Sword energy of 5 different colors surged from Chu Yuan's body. The trial stone began to emit a cracking sound. In the end, it suddenly revealed, and surprisingly, colorful sword energy rose from Chu Yuan's entire body. Bai Fixu's mouth immediately dropped open in shock. This man swung his sword for testing. Could it be that he really was born without the recognition of his destined sword energy? Bai Fixu stepped forward confidently. She softly comforted him, saying that failure is just failure. As long as he is okay, that's what matters. Just then, as the saying goes, once or twice is enough, but never a third time. You have now failed 3 times in a row. It has also refreshed my understanding of waste. At this moment, Chu Yuan stood up with a pale face. He began to reflect, and Feng Lei also stepped forward. Indeed, a waste is still a waste. No matter how much he struggles, it only adds to the joke. Chu Yuan, if I were you, I would be too ashamed to live in this world. Unlocking the life-bound sword isn't just about brute strength. No matter how strong you are, it's useless. Is not fated to walk the sword path. The life-bound sword energy naturally rejects him. In this life, he is destined to be a waste. Immediately, the sword aura rushed toward his body. He directly faced the disaster zone on the ground. The people around all had mocking expressions. They ridiculed him one after another. Chu Yuan is just an empty shell. With a boom, a powerful sword aura rebounded towards Chu Yuan. The heavy black iron sword slipped from his hand. Chu Yuan suddenly realized that all the energy inside him was depleted in an instant. And without practice, his sword and spear still possess such powerful strength. He truly deserves to be the former genius, Feng Lei. Both of them were so shocked they couldn't speak. Chu Yuan let out a low shout, "Break for me." He picked up the heavy sword made of dark iron, and directly struck the stone sword. I, Chu Yuan, will definitely unlock my destiny sword essence today. Outside the arena, Chi Feng Tian nodded secretly. This kid, even without unlocking his destiny sword essence, the system once mentioned that at its peak refinement, the Xuan iron sword could unleash tenfold its power. Could this be that tenfold power? Then Chu Yuan let out a wild roar. As a result, the unlocked innate sword source will be more powerful. Accompanied by Chu Yuan's efforts, the Xuan iron sword began to tremble and hum. Chu Yuan was startled. This Xuan iron sword actually enhanced his strength. When the challenger strikes the trial stone, it leaves a mark. This will cause the innate sword energy on the trial stone to leak. This sword energy will help the sword tester unlock their innate sword source. The larger the mark, the more sword energy will leak. He nodded slightly. The so-called sword testing stone is incredibly mysterious. Each sword testing stone's interior all contain endless, innate sword energy. Though the words are simple, but it is extremely dangerous. If you have made up your mind, then just begin. At this moment, Chu Yuan let out a long breath. Bai Fixu nodded. Chu Yuan, this isn't your first time attending the garden establishment ceremony. I won't say any more unnecessary words. Just give it your all and chop. The trial before you is history, and forcing it will only lead to a dead end. At this very moment, Chu Yuan was born. He wondered if he should begin. Well, I don't know why you're so optimistic about this kid, but you better be ready to collect his corpse. Activating a life-bound sword connection isn't that easy. Only swordsmen truly favored by the heavens have a chance. It's a 1 in a million possibility. I would have dug a pit to bury myself long ago. Besides, I am looking for true talents for the Kuanjian sect. How can those miscellaneous fish you recruited compare? Chu Fengtian suddenly felt like he was getting hit while lying down. He sighed helplessly. He's been at the Xuanjian sect for over 100 years and is still just an outer elder. I want to rely on flattering the elder to enter the inner courtyard. How shameless can you be? If I were him, after returning, the Grand Elder will definitely use this to make things difficult for you. Think about how to deal with him. However, Bai Fixu just scoffed. Who cares about that old fossil? Stands proudly. Beside him, Chi Feng let out a light sigh. Junior sister, you take the sword festival too lightly. This is an important channel for the sect to select outstanding disciples. This time you made an exception and let Chu Yuan try again. Well, report this to the Grand Elder of the outer sect. The Grand Elder believes in you. Naturally, he will take action. At that time, Bai Fixu will definitely reap no rewards. At this moment, Chu Yuan, her lover Feng Lei, hurriedly stepped forward to support her. Junior sister son, hold back for now. Elder Bai has always been arrogant and domineering outside. Now is not the time to provoke him. When we return, in order to protect the young man she favored, she directly slapped the promiscuous Sun Yuing away, and taught others that once someone grovels, he's already become a dog. Sun Yuing was so angry, her face turned pale. That's ridiculous. Once someone starts groveling, they can only become a dog. Sun Yuing's face darkened instantly. How domineering is this beautiful elder? A promiscuous woman, an ungrateful dog. You think I don't know about what happened between you and Chu Yuan? You want to trample on Chu Yuan to regain the dignity you lost while groveling before him. However, before his words could finish, a blast of energy shot straight toward him. On stage, Bai Fixu's gaze was icy cold. If Chu Yuan is worthless, then you are trash. Go ahead. Upon hearing this, Sun Yuting exploded in rage. Elder Bai, how can you break the rules and give this loser Chu Yuan another chance? However, I still want to try again. Bai Fixu hesitated for a moment, but after a second thought, it's better to live like this. Might as well give it one more desperate try. If you force it today, the body definitely can't withstand the intense consumption of true essence. There's a high probability of sudden death on the spot. Chu Yuan's gaze remained resolute. Thank you for the reminder, Elder Bai. That activating the Destiny Sword essence requires a large amount of true energy. Everyone who participates in the Sword Essence ceremony will experience extreme physical exhaustion. There are even cases of sudden death on the spot. You participated 3 days ago. It's not that I don't give you a chance. The rules of Xuanjian sect mean nothing to me. If I wanted to let you participate, you can participate as many as 10,000 times. But you also know, now I can only rely on Bai Fixu. 5 years ago, when I was admitted to Xuanjian sect under special circumstances, Bai Fixu treated me very well. I hope he can help me this time for the sake of old times. However, Bai Fixu shook his head. Chu Yuan. So he wouldn't affect our training at Xuanjian sect. However, Chu Yuan, at the center of the storm, simply ignored them. Elder Bai, please allow me to activate it just once. Just once. Chu Yuan is very aware of the current situation. He wants to activate the distance. The emotions of the disciples in the audience were stirred. They all shouted angrily, "Why? A worthless person who keeps failing. What right does he have to break the rules?" With such a bad temper, he even pointed at Chu Yuan and told him to get lost. "You've already failed once. Do you think the Xuanjian sect is your playground? Join whenever you want." Sun Yuing echoed in agreement from the side. Immediately, "Weren't you here the day before yesterday? Besides, the garden construction ceremony has already ended. Go back." At this moment, Wang Lei, who had just arrived, also echoed Chu Yuan. Everyone can only attend the garden construction ceremony once every 3 years. This is the rule of Xuanjian sect. The swordsman did not react. Chu Yuan directly kneels on one knee. He pleads once again. Chi Fengtian, however, points at Chu Yuan and shouts at him, "Stop messing around." Finally, he arrived in the last few seconds of the Sword Origin Festival. As Chu Yuan wielded his sword to request re-entry into the festival, he activated his life-bound Sword Origin. Both elders looked shocked. Chi Fengtian was especially annoyed, saying, "How is this kid back again?" But still shouted loudly, "Chu Yuan, I've come to participate in the Sword Source Festival, and to activate my Destiny Sword Source." In order to complete the task assigned by the system, Chu Yuan sprinted with all his might. It's a waste of time again. However, a young boy suddenly appeared at the door. "Elders, please wait." Chi Fengtian and Bai Fixu both looked up. In the arena, Chu Yuan was panting heavily. They must not give this loser a chance to rise again. At this point, the ceremony was nearing its end. Chi Fengtian urged from the side. Bai Fixu snorted coldly. "Let's go. Take those useless small fry you picked and return to the sect." However, Feng Lei didn't know that this guy was heading towards the Sword Abyss ceremony. Seeing him so anxious, he probably wants to try activating his life-bound sword essence again before the ceremony ends. At that moment, Feng Lei was ready to take him to have a look, no matter what. Leaving just the two of them staring at each other, Sun Yuing turned to look at Feng Lei. She asked senior brother Feng, "What just happened? Why do I feel that there was a trace of coldness mixed in with Chu Yuan's sword energy? You had something to do with it, but today I have other matters to attend to. We'll settle this score slowly later." As Chu Yuan spoke, he stepped on the ground, running off into the distance. Chu Yuan stepped forward. Coldly, Sun Yuing said, 3 years ago, I failed to activate my life-bound sword essence. I was framed and expelled from the Xuanjian sect." "I know." Chu Yuan stomped hard on the ground. A wave of energy directly forced Sun Yuing to retreat continuously. Feng Lei, still on horseback, looked shocked. What's going on? This worthless guy actually dares to resist. With just one sword shadow, he cuts the rope. Chu Yuan, this aura. You despicable couple are going too far. Would I Shendao be afraid of you? He actually wants to teach Chu Yuan. In this world, only the strong can ride the wind. Facing countless shadow attacks, Chu Yuan wields his sword to fend them off. "Today, you offended senior brother Feng Lei of the Xuanjian sect. This is a breach of protocol. You have made a mistake today. I must punish you." Suddenly, Sun Yuing appeared. At this moment, his lover Feng Lei also realized it. He handed the small whip to Sun Yuing. "Why don't you help me, junior sister?" Sun Yuing leaped off the horse without any hesitation and said, "You are just an ordinary citizen now. Once childhood sweethearts, what does it feel like to incite a lover to hit themselves?" When Chu Yuan saw Sun Yuing again, he only felt a chill in his heart. Has this woman lost her conscience? With her eyes full of admiration, has already seen me as worthless, a useless person to be trampled on. A hint of disappointment flashed in Chu Yuan's eyes. Indeed, this is a realistic world. Since then, many people's attitudes toward him drastically changed, including Sun Yuing. It's only been a few short years. That girl who used to follow me around, calling me Chu Yuanje, and was admitted to the Xuanjian sect. However, to everyone's shock, Chu Yuan himself failed to activate his destined sword bond. Afterward, he was framed and expelled from the Xuanjian sect. Chu Yuan helped her a lot. She often secretly brought her pills from the Xuanjian sect to use. The two had a very close relationship. 3 years ago, at the Sword Fate ceremony, Sun Yuing successfully activated her destined sword bond as she had wished. In Nando City, the spotlight was on her. In order to be with Chu Yuan, Sun Yuing worked hard to cultivate outside. She vowed to get into the Xuanjian sect. During this time, Chu Yuan and Sun Yuting can be considered childhood friends. 5 years ago, Chu Yuan was known as a genius in cultivation. At that time, Sun Yuting actively approached him, filled with admiration. Later, Chu Yuan was accepted early by the Quanjian sect as an exception. Just give him a few lashes, and be done with it. This is delaying our sightseeing fun. Sun Yuting stared blankly at the girl in front of her. It turns out that both the Chu family and the Sun family are prestigious families in South Island City. The two families have a close relationship. The woman next to him is named Sun Yuing. She is also an outer disciple of the Shuanjian sect. Sun Yuing arrogantly said to senior brother Feng, "You, just like him, are nothing but a useless person expelled by the Shuanjian sect. What are you running around like a mad dog for? You almost hit me and junior sister Sun. Do you have a death wish?" The man's name was Feng Lei. He is an outer disciple of the Shuanjian sect. His body was sent flying backward. Where did that horse suddenly come from? That was close, almost got hit. Yet before Chu Yuan could say anything, the man on the horse started cursing at Chu Yuan. Fortunately, he was finally nearing the trial location. Just as Chu Yuan was thinking about how to get a spatial ring later, a voice came, telling him to get out of the way. Chu Yuan's figure flickered, and he narrowly avoided a charging horse. This makes her feel very bored. At the same time, Chi Fengtian's mouth twitched slightly. Meanwhile, Chu Yuan was running towards the place, carrying a heavy black iron sword weighing several pounds. This made him quite exhausted. Not even a single disciple is accepted. The conditions for this beautiful elder to accept disciples are extremely strict. If one isn't a genius, she won't even glance at them. However, the reason that makes her sigh in despair is that she can't recruit any disciples. There aren't enough people to play cards. There are plenty of geniuses in this world. Only those who make it to the end are true prodigies. However, Bai Fixu was furious. He immediately declared, "If there are no geniuses this time around." As he spoke, he let out a light sigh. He used to think so highly of this kid. On the side, Chi Fengtian suddenly realized, "I knew you applied to host this year's Jiangyuan festival with a purpose. I just didn't expect it was for Chu Yuan." He tried to comfort Bai Fixu, saying, "Try not to dwell on it. What's most regrettable is that he came to test a few days ago. I had high hopes for him. I didn't expect him to fail again. This kind of blow is too hard for him to accept. I don't even know if he can make it. He would actually fail when activating his destiny sword essence. Even the Grand Elder of the Inner Court was alarmed. It's truly a shame for such a genius." Bai Fixu directly slumped to the ground without any grace. What a pity! And Chi Fengtian also felt it was a pity. Before entering the sword-suspended sect, this Chu Yuan was a renowned genius in South Island City. He was admitted to the Xuan sword sect ahead of schedule. I never expected that. Do you think geniuses grow on trees? Bai Fixu sighed. If 3 years ago, Chu Yuan could have accessed the Sword Origins Sacred Classic, maybe my Hanging Sword sect could have one more genius. Then we wouldn't have been suppressed by the Spirit Sword sect all these years. Chi Fengtian waved his hand, indicating that there was less than half an hour left until the Sword Dao Holy Canon ended. It's unlikely anyone else will come. Even if someone comes, how could they possibly be a genius? If everyone in the Shuanjian sect were as unambitious as you, we would have been swallowed up by the Lingjian sect next door long ago. As he spoke, he walked back and forth. Where is my little genius? I'm waiting for you, feeling anxious and restless. It possesses a hint of rage attribute. If he can cultivate it properly in the future, the sword energy could double its power at a critical moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have granted him the medium-grade violent blue light sword. Bai Fixu rolled her eyes. Only you, Chi Fengtian, treat him like a castle, he retorted, saying that although they hadn't recruited any highly talented disciples this year, it didn't mean the Shuanjian sect had no successors. There are still many talented individuals in the inner gate, and that Zhang Yuan is quite impressive. The awakened sword of destiny. The Quan sect is currently holding a celebration. This made him feel even more stifled. At that moment, A man walked toward him. His name was Chi Fengtian. He was an elder of the Xuanjian sect's outer sect. But there were only 2 or 3, not a single big fish. At this rate, my Xuanjian sect will have no successors. Suddenly, he remembered that the Lingjian sect on the neighboring mountain had recruited 2 talented disciples. A long-legged, beautiful woman yawned as she stood, while complaining that this year's sword festival is too boring. His name is Bai Fixu. He is an elder of the outer sect of the Xuanjian sect. Bai Fixu sighed and activated his life sword essence. Even if you've unlocked your life-bound sword, so what? Trying to find superiority and confidence from me? You're just humiliating yourself. The 2 little ones were immediately so scared, their legs went weak. At the scene of the sword source ceremony, he entered the Xuanjian sect, and even the elders of the sect praised his outstanding talent. Could it be that the peerless genius, Chu Yuan, is returning? Hearing this, Chu Yuan turned around and glanced at them. Zhang Yuan. However, at this moment, he was panicking inside. He had to rush to attend the grand ceremony for the garden's inauguration. Meanwhile, the 2 little ones beside him glanced at each other, their faces full of disbelief. After all, senior brother Zhang had just activated his life-bound sword essence. He'd be unstoppable. A smile appeared on the corner of his lips, and he turned to leave. He threw out a line, "For the sake of old times, I'll spare you for today." His mouth still struggled to utter, "This is impossible. He's clearly just a worthless person." Chu Yuan was also surprised by the power of the Shuan iron sword. He thought if he could collect all the legendary swords from the sword seed. He watched as Chu Yuan's figure rapidly enlarged in his eyes. He was so scared that he dared not move. He saw Chu Yuan swing the dark iron heavy sword. With one strike, Zhang Yuan fell to the ground with a thud. Returns as a king after swinging his sword 1,000,000 times. Facing the provocation from Shao Gaga, one swing of his sword shattered his mid-grade militia directly. At this moment, Zhang Yuan's mouth opened in an O shape. The next second, the 2 swords clashed. A cracking sound spread in all directions. Zhang Yuan's violence. The azure sword actually shattered directly. This young man, and his holding the Lingding Qingguang sword made of refined iron. At that moment, Chu Yuan made a move. With a stomp he shouted, "Good timing. Let me show you the power of this Shuan iron heavy sword. Today, I'll completely cripple you. Let you know what it means when my rules are the rules." The 2 little brothers beside him witnessed this, getting excited. That kid Chu Yuan crippled senior brother Zhang today. After speaking, a terrifying spiritual power erupted around the body. Violent azure sword, "I'll show you a useless waste who hasn't even opened his learning aperture. How dare you contradict me? It seems 2.5 years haven't taught you to keep your tail tucked. You'd better get out of my way. Ha ha ha, you're truly ridiculous. Though I admit you were once the genius of the sect, now you're just a worthless fool spouting nonsense. And I, Zhang Yuan, have already awakened my life core just 3 days ago. Must be repaid by them." Suddenly, a few reckless thugs blocked his path. "You dare mess with my people, and still want to leave?" Chu Yuan, who unsealed his life core 3 days ago, confidently declared, "Zhang Yuan, if you don't want to die, the Sword Tomb system has issued a quest to head to the Sword Origin Sanctuary. Activate the life-bound sword. The original quest reward is the blood-sucking sword." Chu Yuan then carried the heavy Shuan iron sword towards the sanctuary. These 2.5 years of humiliation. Chu Yuan held this sword. He felt a chill the moment he gripped it. It seems the system hasn't betrayed me, if it weren't for swinging the sword 1,000,000 times before. Now, I'm afraid I can no longer wield this sword skillfully. The Shuan iron heavy sword is forged from 10,000-year-old Shuan iron. Legend has it that thousands of years ago, the famous one-armed hero Yang Xia became renowned with this sword. This sword is unbreakable. It reaches the pinnacle of martial arts. It can unleash 10 times its wielder's strength. With the final slash from Chu Yuan, Congratulations to the host for completing 1 million sword strikes. The Sword Tomb system officially begins. The Sword Tomb contains countless unparalleled powerhouses from ancient to modern times, from all directions. The task reward for the host of the Dark Sword is the Xuan Iron Heavy Sword. Now, Chu Yuan has already swung his sword 999,994 times. In the world of Xuanjian, only those who truly unlock their lifebound sword essence are considered strong. Only those who possess their own divine sword can walk towards the peak of martial arts. He was once a swordsmanship prodigy admired by all. Overnight, he became a disgrace to his family, mocked as useless. All because the system sealed off his life-bound sword essence. To break the seal, he must swing his sword 1 million times within 2.5 years. Enduring 2.5 years of ridicule from his family,